Hello and welcome back, everyone. Another episode. Thanks for joining us again. We got a really interesting episode.
Yes.
This week.
I hope so.
I think. Well, look, I know that my one's interesting. I'm sure yours is too.
Yeah, mine's pretty creepy. So, because last week, I did the Simpsons predictions.
Yeah.
And that was quite lighthearted and fun and cute. So I'm fucking making up for it this week by doing a ghosty one. It's a ghosty, haunting, perhaps poltergeisty.
Oh my God,
thing.
hell yeah.
It's a very, you may have heard this story already. It's like quite famous.
Awesome.
But yeah, I'll leave it at that. What are you doing?
Okay.
I've got no idea what you're doing this week.
Yeah. We're going on an adventure for this one, like an actual adventure.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like a bit of treasure hunting.
Oh my God.
A mysterious location. And yeah, I guess that's all I'm going to say on this one. But
I've got no fucking idea what it is.
It's like a bit of history, but it's mainly just like a lot of adventures of finding something.
I've got no idea. Yeah. I can't even think about what this could be.
I'd be surprised if you knew.
We're coming up with some pretty interesting ones lately that aren't just like purely paranormal. It kind of steps out of the realm
like this definitely
bit.
has its touch of like curses and
nice
and just weird locations, this weird shit happening.
Ooh,
but yeah, it is mainly
excited.
just it's fucking weird. I love it. But yeah, so that's what we've got. So it definitely sounds like another fun weird one.
Yep, weird one.
How's your week been?
I don't even know. I can't even think about what I did the past week. I've been so busy.
Yeah.
It's like, so as I've already told Steph, my daughter is finally going into daycare. For the past maybe like 4 months, I have been ringing daycares, begging like a fucking idiot, being like, please take my daughter, because she's so crazy that I just can't. Like, she just needs to let out the energy with other children, you know, and I'm just going a bit crazy. And finally she was accepted. So I've just been organising that. Thanks. So, I've been kind of very excited about that. How about your week? How's it been?
Oh, it's been fine. Still here, just
which is fantastic. We love it when you're here.
Yeah. It's really nice. There was a really big storm the other night, which is fucking weird.
It was oh my God, we've been having so many big storms.
Yeah, there was this thunderstorm that happened. No rain at all. It was the other day, and it was maybe like just as it was starting to get a bit dark, and we're in the lounge room, and everything just lights up completely white from this flash of lightning. And we were like, holy fuck, that must be like a street away. Like it felt so close, but we were waiting for the thunder to hit. Yeah. And by the time it hit, it was like, oh no, that's not close at all. But then the thunder like waved through, and you could hear it like a wave. It was like that, and all of the windows are like that. So
it was like
a
right next to you.
And we were freaking the fuck out. The cats had like a fucking panic attack. And then like they just ran off, and then I got scared. And I was like, I've never heard thunder like that before. It was so weird.
Yeah, thunder and lightning is pretty intense. I got stuck just like a couple of days ago. I got stuck in my car in a really like hectic storm. There was lightning, thunder, and hail. And hail was like going sideways into the car, and the lightning was literally right next to us.
I hate that. I can't. As much as I like lightning, like I'm so scared of it at the same time.
It's pretty terrifying. Yeah. And we kept on driving down the road, and there was this house, and the roof had lifted off.
Oh my God.
Because the wind was so strong.
Really?
Yes. This poor house had the roof lifted off, and yeah, there was just hail everywhere, and the weather's pretty crazy at the moment.
Summer storms.
Yeah.
They usually hit a lot later into the season.
You know what? I got my fireplace on tonight.
No.
I got my fire on,
I am
and I've got a
sweating
jumper
right
on.
now.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's freezing here. It's so bloody cold.
I'm in bike shorts, a daggy t-shirt. Really, yeah, it's hot.
What the fuck?
Yeah, we're only a couple hours away.
Yeah,
that's
if
weird.
that, barely.
Yeah, I mean, true. It literally takes an hour 20 maybe to drive. That's really weird.
That's crazy. Yeah, we've had the fire on all day.
Okay.
Anyway, let's get into our housekeeping, I reckon. So.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, we have to talk about what we did the other day.
Yeah.
With the Moth Boys, another fantastic podcast that you should go listen
Moth
to.
Boys podcast.
Yeah, the Moth Boys podcast. We were on their Instagram live. We had a little interview chat thing.
Yep, it was awesome. Matt hosted it, and
Matt hosted it.
I don't know. It was hard to see who was joining in and out. It was a lot of people coming in and out, but we went for 2 hours. We were all just wasted. Just
because it was a drinking.
It was a drinking one, and it was me and Jordi were drinking at 11:30 a.m. We started a bit early.
Got so drunk.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
up.
Steph! I was so plastered.
Yeah.
By the end of it, I didn't realize how drunk it was until
Me neither.
We turned off the live with Matthew, and I stood up and I was like, oh my God, I have to go.
It's when you stand up, when you realize what's been going on.
What's happened.
Yeah, because I don't even think I had breakfast beforehand. And I was I had a coffee. I think I had a muesli bar. And I was like, all right, better get into it.
Better get drunk.
Got my gin, got my limoncello.
Yep.
And then I defrosted berries from the freezer. And then I had hibiscus flower.
Oh, that's right.
Mineral water. I was putting all this shit into a cup. And when I stood up as well, I walked into the lounge room. Dylan was standing there the whole time, just listening to us talk shit. And he's like, you're wasted. And I was like, yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And he's like, all right, well, let's go get KFC for lunch. I was oh my God. So that was a journey.
That was fun. Yeah, it was a really good little chat. You know,
it was so fun just talking about all cryptids and stuff. And it sounds fun and interesting where they live.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, I can't remember. About what they said about
in
where they
Virginia.
live.
I'm just jealous because of all the cryptids around there. And stuff.
Right. Yeah,
we've only got the drop bear. And,
yes, we have drop bears.
Yowies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the bunyip as well.
Oh yes, true, the bunyip. Oh God, how could I forget?
And the Lithgow panther.
Here we go. There we go.
And this isn't really housekeeping, but I am going to remind you, Steph, that you promised tonight you're going to be telling your crazy acid story. If you're still okay to tell that.
Yeah. Let's do it. Look.
Okay.
Look, it might not be as crazy as everyone thinks because maybe some people haven't done acid before, but if you have, you probably can get into my head. Yeah. Okay, so look, this is probably, I was about 18 at the time. And for me, I was in and out of smoking weed for a while. I have not smoked pot for 6 years, right now. I just can't do it. I get in this weird psychosis headspace. And during that time when I was 18, I was at this point where I just couldn't be around anyone smoking weed or anything.
Okay.
And I went to a friend's house and there was about 5 of us there. My best friend was there, my ex at the time, and a couple other friends. And they were down in this house and it was on this street that just had no street lights. So it was just very, very dark. And we're all just chilling out. They were all just smoking weed because they usually did anyway. And I was I'm obviously not going to. But then my ex was like, I've got Tabs acid. I thought,
of course you fucking
we forgot we were going to, what are we going to do it this weekend? And I was like, Oh shit,
so
okay.
you're kind of unprepared.
I was totally unprepared for it. And I was like, fuck, I forgot. And I don't know if I said something before, maybe saying, yeah, let's do it. But anyway, and took these tabs out. They were called Pink Panthers. And to this day, apparently they were the strongest tabs that ever went through the mountains. I don't know if you've heard of them before.
I have heard of them. Yes.
Okay. Well, there we go. And at this time, I obviously had no idea. So this is like 2008, 2009, I think.
Right.
Maybe
so was this your first time?
This is my very first time.
Oh, no,
and
Steph.
they were like, take a half. And I was like, I'll take the whole one. Fuck
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm a big girl. I can take care of myself. And yeah, so anyway, we're in the house and I took the tab and I was sitting on the couch and we're watching like Rage, like, which is in Australia, it's kind of like our MTV, like video hits or whatever. So it's just like all the music and stuff. And we're just sitting there watching shit. And I was like, fuck, this is taking a while to kick in. And the moment I realized it kicked in was I closed my eyes. And as soon as I closed my eyes, it felt like my head dropped down, went through my chest and spun back around the back of my head. So as soon as I opened my eyes, it felt like my head just did like a full loop and like opened up. Every single time I'd blink, my head was spinning. And I was
that's so nauseating.
It was making me like actually feel sick. And I was like looking around at people going, do they know my head's doing this? And I was like, oh, hang on a second. Obviously it's not doing that because I took acid, right? And I was like literally just like in my head talking about the shit.
Yep.
And then all these weird things just kept happening. I was like, I'm fucking done. This is too dark in here. Everyone's smoking pot. I'm feeling very uncomfortable. Get me out of here. So my best friend was like, okay, let's fucking get you out of here. And they were living with me at the time. So we were like, yep, let's just go home. So we were walking back up this street, which is like 2 kilometers uphill, no streetlights, completely dark.
I know exactly the house that you were in, by the way.
You know exactly where
I know the house that you were partying.
Yeah, I know. I can't say right now, but you probably know.
I know.
And yeah, it was pitch black. And then we got up to the main street of where the shops would be. And there was like, by this time, I swear I took it at like 9 p.m. By the time I got up to the main street, the sun was rising and there was a newspaper man.
Wait, is this for real? Like actually?
I'm serious.
Oh, okay, right.
There was he was a real newspaper man and he was handing out the newspapers to like the local shops. And I like approached him. I was like trying to talk to him. And I kept saying to him, like, what school I go to.
Why?
And then my friend was like, stop telling him that. He doesn't know. And she's like, everything else you're saying wasn't like English, like what I was saying. I was saying gibberish. And then like my school would come out normally and he was like panicking. He's like, get the fuck away from me. And I was like, I just need to tell you what school I go to. And then
do you remember in your head why? Like what the compulsion was?
Okay. I remember him and I remember trying to talk to him, but I don't remember like why
you were trying to say these things.
And then I don't know what happened. Then somehow we managed to get back to my house. And I managed to go get myself into the bed, which is that sunroom that I was, sleeping in. I think I mentioned in the last room, last episode. And I was like, I'm going to draw. I'm just going to draw a picture and try to calm myself down. And I drew a drawing which totally expressed what I was feeling. And it's like really fucking disturbing. Because like the whole time, I could literally go into the acid trip. Like it was literally 12 hours of just constant.
Yeah, it's a long time.
It's a very long time. And for something that strong, I wasn't prepared for. Like my body felt like it was constantly like being like little electrocution shocks, like it was constantly vibrating.
It's totally not just a like mental or like visual thing. It is your body, because your body is almost exhausted. Like tricks you that it feels like it's doing things, and
it was very weird. Like it wasn't when I used to take mushrooms. Like I don't even fucking take drugs anymore, but when I used to, mushrooms, I would like literally see like full objects that were not there. Like it was completely different thing. But acid, I didn't see anything like that. But, think like patterns and stuff would move and look all trippy, weird auras of things. Lights would be too bright that you can't look at them.
Yeah.
The darkness would have an energy around it where you're like, oh, there's something evil in there. I don't know what it is, but don't go over there. But then, the body was it was very tired and just
very exhausting.
Feeling like constantly jolting, and it was the hardest thing to wind myself down. But I will post the drawing I have, because everyone that sees it is like, ew, that's exactly what it is. Like, it's gross. And I don't know why
you just drew like the feeling
a picture of myself, like a body, like my face, my body, and just like weird, like my eyes are really big and scary, and like these weird things around. And I'm not the weird thing about it for me is like I used to draw a lot, but I drew very I was very particular the way I drew. I was just very like black and white pen, very particular about like the lines and how perfect they were. I was just like a bit of a weird person when it came to this stuff. But this one's like very expressionist, and like
it's amazing how different it can be on something like psychedelics.
Have you seen that artist that did that where he took different drugs and drew a self-portrait on each drug?
Yes.
And I love that. So
isn't that incredible?
It reminded me of that where it's like, if you look at all the other drawings I've done compared to this one, it's like,
it's
what
so
the fuck?
Different. Oh God, how did it feel? So did you end up going back to the Katoomba house while you were tripping? How did the haunted house feel when you were tripping?
You know, that's a good point, because I don't even think it didn't even, I don't even think it registered with me. I think I literally just, because I knew it was very early in the morning. So I was like, if my mum wakes up and sees me like this, I was like, I have to get into my bedroom so fast and just hide in my bedroom. So it was okay in my bedroom because I never really felt unsafe in that room.
Okay.
It was okay, which was quite lucky. But I didn't really feel too safe because, I remember it was actually before I got back to the house, I was hiding in this, there was like a construction site further down the road, and I was like too scared to go home. And I was like, I'm just going to sit here for a bit. And I was like in a car park. And I was like, I'm just going to chill here and just wait it out, and it'll just disappear. I'll just chill here for a bit.
Everything's fine.
And I just started seeing people start to arrive for work, and I was like, I better get the fuck out of here before
Imagine if they had to like interact with you.
Yeah, that's what I was so scared of. I'm like,
my God.
I cannot make eye contact with anyone. I cannot talk to anyone. I have to just like shuffle my way back home.
Make your way back home.
Yeah. Oh God, it was a real fucking experience.
Intense experiences, hey. I do have family that listens, so I'm not gonna explain too much about experiences that I've had in my life that are similar, but I have had experiences kind of similar. One that I do feel okay talking about was, so I did mushrooms, like, magic mushies, because they grow everywhere in the mountains, and it's a pretty just widely accepted thing that everyone just takes them all the time. It was the very first time that I ever took them. I really had like no knowledge of what to expect on them. And I was with a friend, and we just gone out to like a live music gig, just the two of us for the night, and it was awesome in Katoomba. And we were like, hey, why don't we meet up with like this person and go back to their house and stay there the night? And it was a friend of hers, really. He was just kind of like an acquaintance to me, but he was like one of her best mates. And we went back to his house, this beautiful, beautiful house in Katoomba, and he had a mate there as well. And they were like, we're going to take some mushies. And I was like, can I take some mushies? And they were like, sure. And I opened the bag, and I picked out 2 of the bluest mushrooms.
Oh, yeah, of course you did.
I could find. And I just didn't realize how intense it was going to be. And I ate 2, which really is not that much, but they were bright blue. And blue is the thing that makes it kind of psychedelic. We ate them, and I really wasn't expecting anything like too intense. You know, my first time, I didn't really know we sat down and we started watching South Park.
Yeah.
And about halfway through watching some episodes of South Park, the voices started going backwards.
Oh, God.
And everything just kind of like slowly faded into like a shade of purple.
Wow.
And when the South Park voices started going backwards, I started to get really like uncomfortable, like really edgy and just like kind of vulnerable, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
just really
you
like,
realize something
exposed.
is wrong now. Like
Something is happening. Oh, yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to go outside for a bit because I feel really funny. And the guys that were there, like really nice blokes, they're like, oh, we'll come out, we'll have a ciggy while you're out there. And they were talking, but we're outside and their voices were going backwards. And I had absolutely no idea what they were saying. I could not comprehend the words they were saying because it sounded like they were going backwards. And I was like, guys, I feel really shit. I'm just going to go to bed. And so this is maybe just like half an hour after it started kicking in.
Right.
So we still have like the whole peak of the trip to happen.
Yet.
So went and laid in bed, closed the bedroom door, turned the light off, and I laid in that bed for hours tripping dicks so hard because
with
when
the
light
off,
with the light out, with no sound really, I had a full-on what is called like a death trip. So it was like nothing was, it sounds so shanty, but it is what I experienced at the time. Everything was nothing and the universe was like in a multiverse and like I didn't exist because I was nothing but everything at the same time. And I was
that's what I was getting as well. Just like absolutely. When I was walking through that dark street, that's where I started to absolutely panic.
It's panicky. Yeah. It's pretty awful. And so I just did that for like hours and I kind of ended up like hallucinating these animals kind of in my mind because it wasn't like I was visually hallucinating because I was in a dark room. So, and I think maybe my eyes were shut. And I was just sweating bullets as well. Like, I was just sweating so much because it was all so intense.
Was it still going like when the sun came up and everything?
Yeah. Like, we all end up sleeping in like one bed together.
Yeah.
And and it kind of started to, go away as sun was coming up. But it was like a full death trip. I was like hallucinating these animals, but the animals were made of like kind of colorful shadows and it was like lions like shagging eagles and shit and it was like so intense and so horrible. It was just so off-putting. Like innocent little me, I must have been like maybe 19 or something. And it's just
I feel like everyone's growing up in the Blue Mountains has had one of those experiences. It really just shook you to your core.
Your bloody core. I've had a few different experiences, but that was, my first.
That sounds so bad. Oh,
it was terrible. God. It was just, and because I was like, these friends of my friend, I didn't even really know them that well. So I was so self-conscious and it was so different to just like being in your home.
Well, that's that's how I felt too, because I could trust them when I knew that they were smoking pot. I was like, like I can't be around that because they're not on the same like wavelength as me. That's what I kept saying. I was like, they're on a different level and I can't trust them. I have to go. I have to leave, Even though they're like my best friends, I was like, gotta go. I don't know any of you.
Well, maybe we can save other stories that we've had for other episodes.
Oh, God.
I'm so excited to hear what your story is. Can we get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
All right. All right. So, what is more exciting than going on an adventure that could possibly change your life for the better? Well, in the 19th century, this was a very common thing to do as it was during a time of a major gold rush. This took place in Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, South Africa, and of course the United States. Miners would drop everything and go find their luck at striking gold. Most of the stories were word of mouth, so you had to know the right people and get there fast enough before it was all gone. These places were a free-for-all. In the US, the first significant gold rush was in North Carolina, 1799. Then there was another in the Southern Appalachians in 1829. Shortly after, in 1848, the gold rush began in Sierra Nevada, which by far really captured the dream for a lot of people. Although these were not the only gold mines, there were hundreds around the country, if not thousands more.
Mm-hmm.
But what we will be focusing on tonight is in the Superstition Mountains, located on Apache and Pima land, Phoenix, Arizona.
Is that what they're called? Superstition...
The Superstition Mountains.
Mountains. Ooh, good start.
Yeah. So the Superstition Mountains, they are the largest mountains surrounding Phoenix, being around 200,000 acres large and can be seen from miles away. Phoenix is very flat with occasional mountain ranges. However, the Superstitions are incredibly steep, with the highest point being over 5,000 feet tall.
Oof, big.
Yeah. So they really stand out from the others due to their very jagged volcanic peaks and ridges that make their way for boulders filled with canyons. The area is a very rough environment to be in and incredibly dangerous. There are only patches of trees and cacti along the mountains, but majority is all rocks and boulders. Hikers will encounter sharp drop-offs, deep canyons, extreme changes in weather, harsh winds, and deadly wildlife. Before the word got out about the mines in these mountains, they were already shrouded in deep mystery. In 1540, when the Spanish invaded the Arizona region in search of gold, the Apaches would tell them that the Superstition Mountains were sacred ground and home of the thunder god. The Spanish didn't care what their beliefs were and just wanted to find the gold. After they found out that the Apaches knew there was actually gold in the mountains, they intended to go up there and explore. But the Apaches refused to help them and warned them if they were to trespass on the sacred ground, the thunder god would take revenge on them by causing horrible death and suffering. The mountain during that time was named by the natives the Devil's Playground, which I don't care how much gold is up there, that name alone would just put me off. But of course they ignored them and they waltz on up there. One by one, the men start to mysteriously disappear.
Oh, shit.
They were also given warning to never stay more than a few feet away from each other. However, they all ended up getting separated, and they would later be found scattered along the mountain with mutilated and headless corpses.
Oh my god, there's something beheading them out there. Yeah. What the fuck? It's the devil.
Yeah. Devil Mountain.
Yep.
So the Apache and Pima people believe that these mountains have a hole that would lead down to the lower world, or hell. The area suffers from severe dust storms, which are believed to be coming from the hellhole in the mountains. There would be stories told of strange sounds coming from the mountains, mysterious deaths, and an overall fear of being near them. Today, if you were to type in Superstition Mountains into Google, the main mystery that comes up is surrounded by the lost Dutchman's gold mine. It has been one of, if not the most searched for mines in American history.
Oh.
And this could be holding a motherlode of gold.
Oh, shit.
People have been searching for it since at least 1892, with a rate of 9,000 people annually on the hunt.
Oh, wow. So it's pretty
It's
sought after.
Oh, yeah. Now, there is not one story, unfortunately, and the origin of this mine is quite murky, but I will be trying to, make this as clear as possible, but just take it all with a grain of salt.
Okay.
There's so many different variations of it.
Right, so there isn't one kind of history, legend.
Not at all.
A few different. Okay.
Yeah, so I've read so many different and just kind of put it all into something that makes more sense.
Right. Okay.
A lot of it is true anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, in 1748, the Mexican cattle baron, Don Miguel Peralta, was given a land grant which included the Superstition Mountains and 3,750 square miles, of which is now Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
The land would include several silver mines, and it would be the first official recording of this gold mine. During the next century, they would keep their trips up the mountains to a minimum, as they knew the Apaches did not want them up there, and they didn't want to take the risk of starting anything. 100 years later, in 1847, the Mexican-American War was in full swing, and Pedro Peralta was the one willing to risk it and go back to Arizona so he could retrieve as much gold as possible before their holdings became part of the US. The Apaches were not happy of his return, as he had recently been there before with a few others to take more gold.
Mm-hmm.
This was an intrusion on sacred ground and was happening way too often now. The miners got word that the Apaches might be planning an attack, so they started to pack up and leave. They blocked the entrance of the mine with carts and barrels and made their way down the mountain back to Mexico, but they wouldn't get far. The Apaches attacked the miners and the mules holding all the gold. And it was,
the mules as well.
I know, and the mules. And the gold was scattered in every direction across the mountain. For years after this incident, prospectors would travel to this location, as they would still find gold that was hidden in saddles or that may have been spilled out.
Right.
Yeah, so just little bits here and there across the mountain.
Okay, so it's just because it's not even like gold that you would mine. It's like gold that has been hidden and
that's right.
Spread about.
So this obviously shook the Peralta family, rightly so, as they did not go to that location for another 16 years.
Mm.
In 1864, they decided to get together 400 people to venture back to the Superstition Mountains to retrieve what was left of those mines.
That's a shit guy move.
Yeah. Only one of these men survived to tell the tale of what is known as the Peralta Massacre.
Oh, did they just get slaughtered by the Apaches?
Yeah.
Fuck
they
yeah.
never reached the mine, and they were attacked on the northwest slope of the mountains. It's unfortunate that it had to lead to that for them to stop going to the mountains.
Yes.
But yes, that would be the last time that the Peraltas would actually step foot on that mountain.
You'd fucking want to hope so.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Only took them, 400 men?
Yeah. And 16 years? Well, longer than that, I guess.
Ugh. A few years later, a man named Dr. Thorne was treating an Apache who was wounded, and he was rewarded by being taken to this mine to take as much as he can carry. He was blindfolded and taken up the mountain, and then he was led back down once he had his load. He later was not able to relocate that mine. He couldn't remember. We didn't know because he was blindfolded. But he's like, it does exist.
I love that the Apaches are able to just kind of use it as they want. It's like, it's our sacred area. We know there's gold there. These guys aren't getting it, but we're going to give it to this guy because he helped us out, you know?
Yeah, that's it. That's the way it should be. We now move to where the Dutchman's story begins, with Jacob Waltz. So he was born in Germany, 1810, who relocated to the US and later moved to Arizona in 1860, where he resided till death. He pursued mining and prospecting and would occasionally be seen in Phoenix when he would walk through with large amounts of gold. And it was reported that he had actually sold $250,000 in gold to the US Mint during the 1880s.
Oh my God. What, $250,000 in those?
Those times.
What the fuck? That is like
those times.
$1 billion
insane.
now.
Yeah, it's crazy. One of the best reasons on how Waltz found the mine was not by exploring and coming across it, but he actually helped someone in the Peralta's family, and they thanked him by revealing the location of the mine. Around 10 years after moving to Arizona, he bought 160 acres near Phoenix, which is where he operated his farm. But sadly, in 1891, there was a catastrophic flood in Phoenix that wiped out many places, including his farm. He had nowhere to go, he had nowhere to live, and his health was decreasing dramatically. Now, Julia Thomas comes into the story, who already knew Waltz. She moved him into her home, where she would take care of him till his death, only a few months later. Waltz died of pneumonia that he had contracted due to the flood.
Oh, no, what a disaster.
I know. So much death. While he was on his deathbed, he would actually tell Julia of the mine and reveal a few clues on where it would be in the Superstition Mountains. So after he passed away, Julia sold her small bakery and her house.
She was off.
So she could finance an expedition to find the Dutchman's gold mine.
Right.
To accompany her, she had her friend Reinhard Petrasch.
Trash is in like
trash.
garbage trash? Like pea trash?
It looks pea. Oh. I like pea trash.
Yes.
Reinhard Petrasch and his brother Herman Petrasch.
No way.
Yeah.
That is not their names.
Yeah. Oh, God, it's unfortunate. So these three were an unlikely group to go prospecting for gold. However, Julia was 29 at the time, and it had been stated that she was very capable of taking care of herself.
Mm-hmm.
It was 1892, during a time of gold fever, where people were not thinking straight anymore, as everyone was hearing about these get-quick-rich stories of people striking gold. It was 3 weeks later when a newspaper wrote about the trio returning to Phoenix with empty pockets. Not surprisingly, the terrain had been harsh on them. They had spent those 3 weeks searching deep ravines and canyons. There was a severe lack of drinking water, and the hot, dry sun ended their search.
Wow, it's almost like people just should not search for this fucking place.
I know, right?
But they keep on doing it. So, I mean, cool.
They said it was so hot that they would be hiding in the shade for the majority of the time. So they could only go out actively looking in the early morning and late evening.
Mm.
The disappointing thing about this is when they returned, they of course had no money. So they started selling maps to the mine for $7 each. Which I get, you gotta kind of hustle during those times, but also the mountains are like so fucking dangerous. They've been there, so they know that they're just sending people to their deaths.
Yeah. And then they would know that these are still like considered sacred.
So fucked up. Yeah,
it's fucked up.
So we move a few more decades down the track now to 1931. An amateur treasure hunter named Adolf Ruth was on the hunt for the Dutchman's mine. That was on everyone's lips. But most people were too afraid to search for it, rightly so. But Adolf's son, Erwin, had provided some legal advice to a family member of the Peralta family, which avoided them going to prison. Mm-hmm. They then gave Erwin an antique map which would show the location of the mine.
It's the perfect, barter values. Right? Just telling people where this mine is.
Be on your way, yeah. Erwin would then give that map to his father, Adolf, as he knew he had a large interest in exploring. He, of course, wanted to take on this adventure, so he travelled to Phoenix to prepare for his journey. He stayed a couple of days at a ranch to get everything together, and the people at the ranch were trying to convince him not to go up there. Now, we know this place is dangerous, but guess what? Adolf was also 66 years old.
Oh, he's gone.
And due to previous expedition injuries, he had a large metal pin in his leg because he fell over and broke it.
I'd give him 2 nights. 2 nights and he's gone.
This mountain terrain cannot even be done by expert outdoorsmen.
Yeah, like a 29-year-old healthy woman.
Exactly. I know. It's just mental. He, of course, ignored them all and went up the mountain on his own for a planned 2 weeks. But he would never return. It was around 6 months later that a skull was found with 2 bullet holes, later to be examined and confirmed to be Adolf's.
He got shot. Oh, my God. What is going on?
That's right. Now, yes, it was his skull that was found with nothing else at this point, and that was due to the scavengers in the area.
Mm-hmm.
This, of course, caused a huge media frenzy, and it made nationwide news, which sparked the interest in the Dutchman's mine again.
Yeah, okay.
When the skull was examined, they said that the 2 gunshot wounds were at point-blank range with a shotgun or high-powered rifle. By the next year, his remains would also be found scattered about 1.5 kilometres or 3/4 of a mile from the skull location. They knew these were his remains due to the metal pin from his legs being there. And also his pistol was there with no missing bullets.
So it wasn't his gun. Okay.
But where was this ancient map he had? They couldn't find it anywhere. And strangely, the authorities, when reporting the story, claimed that Adolf died after succumbing to thirst or heart disease. And some say that he shot himself, which literally makes no sense at all because there were 2 bullet holes in his head and there were no shells found.
And nothing missing from his gun. And just
nothing missing from the gun.
A whole lot of other evidence to prove that he was, like, shot in the head by someone else.
Yes, and you can't shoot yourself in the head twice.
Of course you fucking can't.
Yeah.
Of course. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it's, like, literally
it's
insane.
It's impossible.
But anyway, there's a lot to unpack with what happened with Adolf. I believe it may have been the Apaches trying to keep this location private still, or there could have been other prospectors hiding in the mountains also. I don't know why no one said that in the reports, but
it makes sense, yeah.
After his death, there were many others to follow. Prospector James A. Cravey set out to uncover the mine, but his headless remains were also found in the mid-1940s. Around that time, there was also another person named Barry Storm who wrote a book about his ventures. He had narrowly escaped a mysterious sniper in the mountains.
Oh, fuck, a sniper.
He named him Mr. X and speculated this could have been the same person who had taken Adolf's life.
Yes. It's just someone up there camping in the mountain just waiting for
the thunder
people
god with a sniper on the fucking rock.
Sounds pretty cool.
It's a mad movie, actually.
Yeah.
Thunder Sniper.
Thunder Sniper, God Sniper.
Now, much further down the track in 2009, Jesse Capon had gone missing while searching for the mine. He was apparently obsessed with the story of the lost Dutchman's mine. His car and campsite were found shortly later after his disappearance became apparent. And his body was not found until 3 years later, and it was wedged inside a crevice of the mountain.
Oh, what the fuck? A predator can't do that. Like, no. It's not like a predator has scattered.
Yeah, that's a human that did that.
Yeah.
The same year, a man named Curtis Mereworth went looking for the mine and got himself lost and had to be rescued from the Superstition Mountains.
Who the fuck are these people that just keep on returning? Like, why are people going to this place?
I don't know. They just are like,
so stupid.
I will be the one to strike gold.
Yeah,
I will
like
be
the one person that will survive this and get all the gold.
Well, this guy, the stupidest, because he went there and then he gathered 2 more of his friends to go again 3 years later in 2012, and they all died.
All of them just died.
All died due to extreme heat.
That's so stupid.
One thing that does baffle a lot of people, however, is that scientists have claimed that the Superstition Mountains do not contain the correct type of minerals to support gold veins, which is a little jaw-dropping hearing all these stories.
Yes. Imagine if they're just going for no reason, if there's not actually gold there.
Yeah, it's weird. This obviously doesn't keep people away to this day. The mountains are now a federal wilderness area and Arizona State Park. So even if you were to strike gold, you would have to legally surrender it to the government.
Right, okay.
That's if you would make it off the mountain alive. But yeah, that's my story.
Oh, what a cool one. That is so different to everything that we've done. I love a good adventure story.
I love treasure hunts and stuff, but it's cool because it's not just like a story of one person. It's like multiple. So many different people going through this mountain. And
what do you reckon the sniper is? Do you think it's an Apache?
I reckon it's an Apache.
Yeah.
I reckon it would be because they seem like they're the most protective of the mountain.
And I don't think there would be another person just camping up there, like sniping people just for the sake of keeping them away. Unless they were just like snatching all the gold, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. Yeah,
that's right. And like, or maybe they think that the gold must stay on the mountain. I feel like that could be a theory as well, where they have found the mountain. Oh, they have found the mine. They've taken the gold mine. And they've maybe just put it back and.
But it seems like it's only the indigenous people who actually give a shit about the
which is insane because it's all these dumb white people that are going up there and getting killed, and they're not the ones that are getting it.
This is why I feel like it might be like an indigenous person that's sniping, because all the dumb whiteys are like, we're going to go hunt the gold. We don't care that like 100 people have died.
Up there. It's still a thing. It's
even
unbelievable.
Though you couldn't even keep your gold.
Yes.
That's so disrespectful. Because it's a sacred area. You couldn't even keep your gold. They're just going for the sake of being like the winner.
Yeah. Or even just now, maybe there's probably people out there that just want to be the one that's like, I found the mine. I found it. But it's like, wow, good on you. Like,
what a bunch
you nearly
of
died. Yeah. I don't know. It's just, it's mind-blowing.
It's such a great story. I can't believe how many people have died up there. Like almost
there's
a group of
so
400
many more.
as well.
Like, it's just an endless amount. Yeah, that location where the 400 people died, that's like an actual like known site now.
Right.
The Peralta Massacre, they called it.
Oh, I'm gonna look at that.
Yeah, a lot of people
like photos of that and stuff.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, glad you like it.
I love that it's called Superstition Mountain.
Yes, I love that too.
As well, because it's just so fitting for. It's almost like a curse. Like there's a curse on this mountain. But I don't think it's a curse because that would dismiss the stupidity of these people. Because it's kind of like, it's not a curse. We know that it's unsafe.
It's extremely unsafe. Yeah, it's very unsafe. Like with Apaches or no Apaches.
It's bloody dangerous. Yeah. Cool. Well, that was a very good one. A very different one.
Thank you. I know.
Such good different ones lately. So great to mix it up, you know.
I think like it's really exciting doing this podcast because you really start to really kind of go out of your comfort zone and just look at other stories and stuff and
diversify your knowledge. Well, like that's exactly how I felt when I did The Simpsons last week.
Yes,
I was like, this is just so.
It's funny because I knew of the Superstition Mountains for probably a few years now, but I never knew about the gold mine.
Oh,
I just heard the Superstition Mountains and it was just like a very weird, creepy place.
Yes.
I didn't know anything about the gold mine. So when I started looking at the Superstition Mountains, I was like, okay.
Yeah. So, wow. I really want to see photos of it and where the massacre was and stuff. Well, I'm going to move on to my story.
Oh, yeah.
Which I would be surprised if you haven't heard of this story, but because it's also, there's a documentary, there has been a movie made loosely about it. So this week we're in Enfield, England.
Oh my God.
You already know.
Oh,
there's
God,
two Enfield stories, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe there's an Enfield because there's my one and then there's another famous story which involves the town of Enfield, but I don't know if it's like Enfield, America, that the other one.
Oh.
But there is another Enfield, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, I'm thinking about British
yes,
Enfield in the UK.
Yes. A British little Enfield. So, yes, this week we're in Enfield, England, and the year is 1977.
Yeah.
If you've never heard of Enfield, it's a large town in North London, and it has a pretty decent population of about 150,000 currently. But my story this week, yes, is set in Enfield, but more specifically, it's set in a little council flat at 284 Green Street. The people who live here are a family of 5. So we have Peggy Hodgson, who is a single mother to 4 children who also live in the flat. That's Margaret, 13, Janet, 11, Johnny, 10, and Billy, who was 7 at the time. All the 4 children slept in the same room, and the mother, Peggy, slept in a different room in their flat.
Yeah.
The real beginning of this story starts on August 30th, 1977, when it was nighttime and Peggy was trying to get all her kids in bed and asleep. After she thought she had succeeded at getting them all down for the night, she heard what she thought was Janet and Margaret roughhousing in the kids' bedroom.
Uh-oh.
She promptly marched up to the second story to tell them to cut it out. But instead of seeing the 2 girls playing around and roughhousing, she witnessed Janet and Margaret huddled in the corner looking absolutely petrified. They both claimed that there was a big chest of drawers in their room that suddenly just started moving by itself towards the bedroom door.
Jesus.
Yeah, pretty terrifying. And they had also seen one of their brother's chairs wobbling by itself. Their mum didn't really believe them and basically just told them to be quiet, go back to bed, and to please just fall asleep for the night. As I said, she was a single mum of 4, so I could imagine that by the end of the day, she didn't have much patience for stuff like this.
Yeah, like I don't give a fuck.
Just go the fuck.
Okay, how haunted this house is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just fucking go to bed. Peggy went back downstairs and she heard nothing else from the kids for the rest of the night, so she figured that all was good. So moving forward to the following night, and we have a similar scene. Peggy trying to get the kids to bed, all in the same room. Once they've settled, she moves herself back downstairs to carry on with her night. But again, Peggy's peacefulness was disturbed by some loud noises. Really loud noises. She heard an almighty crash from upstairs where the children were sleeping. Once again, marching up those stairs to tell off her naughty children who refused to allow this poor woman a moment's rest. This time, when she reached the kids' bedroom and tried to push open the door to tell off the kids, she only managed to open the door about 30 centimetres before she felt something push back against the door with an incredibly strong force, slamming it shut.
Jesus.
Before the door fully shut, she witnessed the same thing that her girls said that they witnessed the night before. The big set of drawers flying towards the bedroom door all on its own, and this is what had forced the door shut. Instantly, she tried to push the door open again and again because she could hear her children screaming out of fear. And she was genuinely scared for her kids' safety. So that would be pretty terrifying, just being locked out of there, hearing them scream and knowing that something is moving.
So sorry for the kids. Like, I'm trying.
I'm sorry. Eventually, the force released and the children came running out of the bedroom. They all put their slippers and nightgowns on and went racing over to their neighbours, Vic and Peg Nottingham, to ask for help. Vic, who was a big, burly builder, went into the home to check out what the issue was. And he said that when he entered the flat, he heard some very strange noises. Strange, especially because he knew there was no one else there. Vic said of his venture into the flat, quote, "I went in there and I couldn't make out these noises. There was a knocking on the wall, in the bedroom, on the ceiling, everywhere. I was beginning to get a bit frightened." So Margaret, one of the Hodgson's daughters, said that she'd never seen a man that big become so frightened.
Oh my God.
He was terrified. After Vic came out of the house and said, yes, there are definitely weird things happening, but there's nobody else in the home, Peggy decided to call the police to come check it out. When the police arrived, one of the cops said that she witnessed a chair moving on its own. She said that, quote, "I heard 4 distinct taps on the wall and then silence. Then about 2 minutes later, I heard more tapping from a different wall. Another PC checked the walls, the attic and the pipes, but could find nothing to explain the knocking. Then the eldest son of the family pointed to a chair near the sofa. I then saw the chair slide across the room. It moved approximately 3 to 4 feet and then came to a rest. I checked the chair and I could find nothing to explain how it moved." So this police officer, she even signed a sworn affidavit to confirm that this happened.
Love that.
Love it. Love official signing of the docs, you know. Other officers also heard strange, unexplained noises, and they were all pretty mystified. Despite all of this, they said to the family that this really wasn't a matter for the police. Nobody was breaking the law, and there was nothing really that they could do.
They can't arrest a ghost.
Can't arrest a bloody ghost, no. So they just left without offering any help or solutions, which I kind of get. Like, what do they do? But also you're leaving a family in a shitty situation. I don't know. It's a hard, it's kind of grey area, I guess.
Suggest either. It's a weird one. I'd be like, do you want to move somewhere else?
Yeah, should we call a priest? Or...
Yeah.
So, according to the family, this was the very beginning of a terrifying 18-month haunting. After the first night that involved the Nottinghams and the police, things very much and very quickly got worse for the family. They reportedly suffered an insurmountable amount of occurrences over the 18 months. Furniture being upturned by itself, toys being thrown, banging and knocking noises, writing appearing on the walls, and even some of the children being mysteriously levitated into the air.
Yuck.
Yes, yuck. Cups would inexplicably fill with water. Items suddenly burst into flames, and the family would also hear a disembodied voice throughout the flat. So shit is getting real.
I don't like
shit
that.
is happening. Me neither. And according to Janet, the youngest daughter, the most terrifying moment for her was when a curtain wrapped itself around her neck when she was sitting in bed. All these occurrences became so intense for the family, and it really was too much for them to handle. They didn't know where to turn or how to get help. They were terrified, anxious, and stressed. The police couldn't help them, so they decided to turn to the press for help. Peggy, which is a funny move, but I guess... It does kind of give me a little bit of a red flag, because it's like, how is the press going to help? And it is going to bring you attention. And
maybe they just need, like... I don't know. They might
people to give them
give them some like help or advice, or get some experts in the fields they couldn't afford.
Exactly.
Maybe, it could be. You could go 2 ways with it.
Definitely. Yeah. And this is what people say. Like, there's a lot of skeptics about this story. So Peggy she eventually got in contact with the Daily Mirror, which is a British national daily paper. The Daily Mirror decided to send out a photographer to the residence, not really putting too much faith in the story, more so just seeing it as an opportunity to fill a minor spot on the daily run. The Mirror sent out a photographer named Graham Morris, and thanks to Morris's presence in the Hodgson's house, this Enfield haunting would become one of the best documented haunting cases that we've ever had. What started off as what was going to be just a small story in the paper became a huge investigation over 18 months. As a matter of fact, when the photographer and accompanying reporter arrived at the Hodgson's flat, everything just sat silent for hours. They didn't really think anything was going to happen. It wasn't until they were about to leave that things really kicked up. According to Janet, quote, "The reporter, a Lego brick hit him above the eye. It hit him so hard he still had the mark a few days later."
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Morris said of his visit, "It was chaos. There were things flying around everywhere. People were screaming."
Oh.
So this stuff is, they were about to leave, and just as they're about to walk out the door, he gets hit above the eye with the Lego brick and shit starts flying around everywhere. After Morris and the reporter told the paper what had happened, the Daily Mirror and the Hodgsons decided to get in contact with paranormal investigators at the Society of Psychical Research, which I'm going to refer to from here on as SPR.
Okay.
The SPR decided the best people for this job was Maurice Gross, Anita Gregory, and Guy Playfair. They were straight away sent over to the Enfield flat to investigate the allegations of this incredible haunting. So Gross, one of the investigators, said of when he first arrived, quote, "When I first got there, nothing happened for a while. Then I experienced Lego pieces flying across the room and marbles, and the extraordinary thing was, when you picked them up, they were hot.
Oh.
I was standing in the kitchen and a t-shirt leapt off the table and flew into the other side of the room while I was standing by it." So this actually kind of reminds me of your Poltergeist story that you did a while ago, because the
Humpty Doo one.
The Humpty Doo Poltergeist, yeah, because they were having pebbles come through their house and the pebbles were warm.
Yes.
So that reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that part. Yeah.
So they all unanimously decided that this seemed like the work of a poltergeist. And very soon after, this poltergeist decided to communicate. The way that the poltergeist would speak was through Janet. She would go into what seemed like a trance and speak in a gravelly, low voice, seemingly without barely moving her mouth or lips. And Janet naturally had a very high-pitched voice. The poltergeist would talk through Janet for hours and eventually named himself. He told the investigators, through Janet, that his name was Bill Wilkins, and he had once lived in this flat years before but had died in the lounge room from a brain hemorrhage. So a few of the reporters and investigators set out to find the names of previous tenants of that flat, and very soon after, it was confirmed that there had been a man named Bill Wilkins who had died in that home.
That's so fucking creepy.
So accurate.
Yeah.
So accurate, so creepy. Bill said through Janet, "Just before I died, I went blind. I had a hemorrhage and died in a chair." This information was actually confirmed by Bill's son that said, yes, this was all accurate. They were able to locate Bill's son and he confirmed that, yeah, this was true. there was a huge number of conversations had with Bill through Janet. You could ask him questions and he would answer you in full sentences. Sometimes when he'd be talking and get upset about what he was talking about, suddenly the room would be filled with levitating toys being thrown around. That's a no from us.
No Lego bricks.
No more Lego bricks. Jesus, he definitely has a thing for Lego bricks.
Yeah.
Sometimes he would get agitated and swear and say really nasty things. And other times it was like you'd just be having a conversation with an old bloke down at the pub. It was really bizarre. Janet explained that when the voice came through her, it didn't feel like it came from within her, but actually behind her.
Right.
And, of course, people were very skeptical of this voice coming through Janet, including a fair few of the reporters and investigators that had just filled the Enfield flat by this point. To prove the legitimacy of what was happening, Gross, who was sent by the SPC, requested that they do a little experiment. They would fill Janet's mouth with water, tape her mouth shut, and see if the voice still spoke.
Oh, God.
Yeah, which
Try
is
now, demon.
Yeah, motherfucker. And it did. The voice still spoke.
Oh, no.
You can watch videos of Janet speaking with Bill's voice. And to say the least, it is creepy as
There's videos?
fuck. Oh my God, there's so many. This is so well documented. You can go onto YouTube and there's video after video. Like it's
okay. I did not know those videos. That's fucked.
It's fucked. Like the creepiest thing is her voice when Bill is speaking through her. So yeah, there's actually a whole documentary on YouTube called The Enfield Poltergeist, showing all the documented phenomena at the home. So I definitely recommend everyone go check it out.
Yeah.
It's probably actually one of the first pieces of paranormal media that I watched, which kind of like triggered my interest in.
That's cool. I'm definitely going to watch it then. That's cool.
Yeah, it was really great. So throughout the 18 years at the Enfield residence, investigators and reporters witnessed thousands of paranormal events within the home. Though one of the most famous incidents was when Janet was caught in photograph, levitating and being thrown across the room. This photo has become iconic for people when they think about the Enfield poltergeist. It's set in the kids' room and Janet is mid-air in front of her empty bed, which looks like she was just laying in, and two of her siblings are in another bed on the other side of the room, and they're screaming as well as Janet screaming too.
Yeah.
People say this would be incredibly easy to fake, especially just in a photograph, but there were many witnesses to this happening, and they all absolutely stand by their word that this was real, including people who were originally skeptical, who witnessed this kind of thing, and they were just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
this is,
so many people went into this house and experienced stuff.
Yeah. So it's not just like one or two witnesses or a few witnesses that could possibly gain something from this. It's just like people who were there to like prove them wrong, and investigators and reporters.
And it just takes one person to blow the cover of it all, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it takes one person. Yeah, that's right. So Margaret, the other Hodgson's daughter, was also affected by the activity in the flat, although to a much lesser extent than Janet. Janet definitely seemed to be the center of attention for this poltergeist.
Right.
There are also photos of Margaret being thrown through the air, but the photo of Janet is definitely that iconic photo. And by this point, it wasn't just the family that was experiencing paranormal activity. 30 other people claimed that they had encounters while in the home, and this includes investigators, photographers, filmographers, reporters, and many other people. Some of the people in the house were actually able to communicate with the poltergeist through a series of knocks on the wall of the flat. Someone would ask a question, such as a yes or no question, and there would be a response in knocks coming from inside the wall.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so it would be like 1 knock for yes, 2 knocks for no, you know. It's a bit creepy. There would also be knocks at other just random times, and they would run up and down the wall, fading in and out. Oh, yeah. This scared the family so much that at nighttime they would all stay in the same room as their mother, but no one would sleep. It got to a point where some of the children had to become medicated to be able to just sleep because all of the phenomena that was happening was just too terrifying for them to be able to rest. In some of the footage of this encounter or these encounters, you can watch and hear some of these knocks in the home, even in one session with one of the investigators asking the ghost questions and getting a knocking response. So you can see footage of that as well on YouTube. So it's hard to summarize exactly and all of what happened at 284 Green Street Enfield, because so many people saw and heard so many things at the flat, and the family experienced so many things. And there is an incredible amount of photographs, footage, and audio just to back up what occurred there. Ed and Lorraine Warren also became involved at one point.
Oh, yes, of course.
Of course, they bloody did. They actually ended up going to the house on a few occasions to investigate. And they agreed that there was demonic and poltergeist activity in the home. Although Janet has always said that she didn't feel like it was demonic at all. She felt like Bill, the poltergeist, was almost just playing with them because he wanted to be part of the family.
Oh.
And he was just a bit of a bitter old man poltergeist. So by the end of 1978, after 18 months, all the activity slowly started to disappear. And this has been accredited to a priest coming into the house and blessing it. Although after the Hodgson's family moved from the home, another family did move in, and they were also plagued by strange activity.
Really?
Yeah, because usually it's a matter of like, oh, the family moved out and it's super haunted, and another family moves in, but they don't experience anything, which makes it seem a bit iffy. But yeah, this family would definitely...
Good. Well, I mean, it's not good, but, you know, it's good.
Yeah, it's a good sign.
Clears some things up,
Yeah. So this family, they said that they always felt like there was someone watching them during the night. The children would get woken up by voices and knocking downstairs. Furniture would move around the house, and at one point one of the kids saw the ghost of an older man walking into his room.
Oh.
This was the last straw for the family, and they moved out the next day after only living there for 2 months.
No fucking way.
Yeah. After just 2 months, they couldn't hack it, which fair enough. I mean,
that's
pretty shit.
Yeah. I mean, that really puts it into perspective of what they dealt with. Like,
oh yeah,
it's real.
That is real, yeah, because the second family is exactly the same, you know? So, yeah, this story has been made into a movie, and of course it's one of the Ed and Lorraine Warren series called The Conjuring. I've touched on another story before, which has been turned into a Ed and Lorraine Warren type film, mainly focusing on their involvement in possessions and stuff like that. But this movie takes huge liberties, and it really plays up the Warrens' involvement in this case. They've really had a very, very minor contribution to this event in Enfield. But in the movie, it does make out that they were center of it all and they had a big part to play in removing the entity, etc., etc. But yeah, I highly recommend that everyone jumps on YouTube and watches the Enfield Poltergeist doco if you haven't already. It's a pretty good glimpse into what happened in the Enfield home. And yeah, I feel like I've only just skimmed the surface of everything that happened there because it was really an ongoing documented thing, especially with Janet speaking. Bill speaking through Janet. That was kind of like a developing thing, and that kind of did become the center of the case.
Video of it because I've heard some of the audio and it's really creepy.
Yes.
But yeah, the video. I mean, fucking hell, I've got a bit of homework to do. That's fucking awesome. I'm so glad you covered that. I mean, it's such a classic case, and it's so special because of the amount of people that have experienced that. And from all, I think it was Enfield as well, of like the neighbors would claim that they would see stuff in the house and like doing weird things as well.
I didn't look too far into like the neighbors' involvement other than
so
like
much going on with that.
This is what I mean. Like there's so much. I feel like I couldn't write anymore because my story would be too long.
Yeah, you have to cut it off.
You have to cut it off. So I just kind of touched on like kind of the more basic points, but there was just so much big stuff that happened there. Not just like little things here and there. It's like
you've definitely
see shit and
done like the main shit, which is awesome. But yeah, that's a good thing. I think I like about like the length of our stories is like if you want to know more, there is more out there. Like you can consume so much stuff with this. Like with this one, I'm surprised as a documentary. I
check it out. It's pretty old. It's a pretty old documentary. I think it's like from the 70s maybe.
Yeah, so it would have been because it was done when they were going through it. I think, weren't they?
That's true. Yeah, it was a documentary that was made when they were going through it.
It would have been, they were in the home with the kids.
So the 70s, 77, 78. And in the doco, you can see like one of the investigators just kind of like speaking out in the open to Bill, just being like, come on, answer me. Do something, and you'd just see like a book being thrown at him.
Oh, mad!
You know, so it's really.
Should I watch it before I go to bed? Maybe not. Maybe I'll watch it on my phone because it feels less scary when it's on a small screen.
It's a small screen.
I'll go to bed and just watch it small. I do that so many times.
Are you alone in your house tonight?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not tonight. Dylan is fast asleep in bed, but I'll wake him up. To watch this with me.
Yeah, lay in bed and watch it on your phone.
Oh, hell yeah. So it was a good
it was a good episode, yes. They're always good stories. I don't think we've ever had one
No, we
bad
haven't,
story.
I know. I'm just trying to like get everyone G'd up at the start. Like, come on, hell yeah. It's gonna be fucking sick.
Maybe our first episode. Although that's not even really bad stories. It was just us being very nervous.
Even bring myself to listen to the first episode.
Oh, neither can I. For everyone out there who did listen to our early episodes, we're sorry.
The audio is so fucking bad. And also we're super awkward.
We were so awkward, yeah.
I mean,
we've definitely
I'm sure everyone is
a
a podcast at the start, but fuck, it is actually so painful
to listen back to.
Like, you get over listening to your own voice when you're editing. Like, I don't even fucking care anymore. Like, it's fine. Like,
I used to hate the sound of my voice, and I thought this was going to be a thing when we started podcasting. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get through it because I hate hearing myself. But now
which most people do. But
of course.
You totally get over it once you start listening to your own stuff. But the audio quality is like, it's so hard to get past
it. Yeah. And just, I think the way, just that first episode, first stepping into beginning to do things, it was just really very foreign. Yeah. It felt very foreign, very alien.
It's all feeling very good now for us.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, hope you guys really liked that episode. And definitely let us know if you like what we do by leaving us a lovely review or
share with your mate.
Yeah, that's the best way to really spread our pod, which is just by, word of mouth.
Yep, spread the spooky seed.
Ooh, Spooky
Sexy.
season. Yeah. And leave us a lovely little voice message as well, because we'd love to hear your voices
in
an Australian accent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Aussie accents only.
We
Thank you very much.
Hear it.
Mm-hmm.
We want to hear it.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll leave it for that for now, and we'll speak to you next week.
Speak at you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This episode of Spooky Mountain was created and recorded on land of the original custodians, the Gundungurra and Bidjigal people. We pay respects to the past, present, and emerging mob. My name is Jordi, and I'm a proud Gunya woman. Thank you for listening.